everybody. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order here tonight. If we could have our city clerk please read the remote meeting instructions.
Pursuant to Governor Inslee's emergency proclamation regarding suspending certain provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act during the COVID-19 outbreak, Toppenish City Council chambers will not be open for the public to attend the meeting in person. Call-in information for listen-only mode is 253-215-8782, meeting ID 839-7058-7609, passcode 995718. Email cityclerk@cityoftoppenish.us or call 509-865-6754 with questions.
Thank you. And now if the city clerk would please do roll call.
Mayor Oakes,
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra,
Here, sorry, here.
Councilmember Belton,
Here.
Councilmember Seha,
Here.
Councilmember Duval,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Jimenez.
Present.
Let the record show we do have full attendance and a quorum.
Thank you. Now, first item on the agenda is to introduce the new city employees. City Manager Hoyt, or?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll defer to Administrative Services Director Debbie Zabel.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I have the privilege tonight to introduce to you two new employees. The first one is Jody Douglas, and I think she's going to pop on real quick. So there she is. Jody is our new finance technician, and she will be responsible for accounts payable and customer service. And she began work on December 17th. And she most recently graduated from Perry Tech on December 16th with her associate's degree in business technology. And she has been providing excellent customer service to our community for the past 10 years. Some of you may already know her. And I would just like to welcome Jody and say how glad we are to have her here.
Very good. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
And next we have Marilee Northrup, and she's gonna pop on here in just a moment. There she is. So we are down a position, and the city manager has given us approval to hire a temporary employee for 3 months until we can get fully staffed. And Marilee has joined us for that time. She's going to be providing utility support and customer service. And in addition to working with us in finance, she has been serving the city of Toppenish for the past 12 years as a volunteer firefighter. So we're very lucky to have her here with us, even if it may be only for a short time. But I am very glad to have her here, and am pleased to introduce her to you all.
Thank you. Welcome, Marilee.
Yes, welcome on board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
All right. We'll move on to item 3, which is a presentation by Chris. And I'm sorry, Chris, there's no way I'm going to pronounce your last name.
If I tell you just like Copenhagen, you've got it, right? Wickenhagen.
Okay, Wickenhagen. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And a presentation by Chris Wickenhagen, Yakima Valley Conference of Government Executive Director regarding the planning grant for Toppenish.
And I would also like to add in there Jeff Watson of YB-COG, the senior planner. So tonight they'll be introducing a grant they've got for the city of Toppenish. The title of the grant is Advancing Health Equality Through Housing. So I'll let you go, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. for allowing us to present this evening. I'm excited about what Jeff is going to share with you. He's really going to get more into what we are doing. But to let you know, last year, YB-COG was awarded a grant to develop a pilot program that involves community members in planning, with the focus on creating a healthier community through our planning efforts. Our end hope is to be able to bring more money to build newer homes, parks, or whatever your constituents tell us their needs are. YB-COG chose Toppenish and Mabton to do this pilot. And I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to give the high clip of what we're doing and what we hope to accomplish in the first phase of 3 phases. So this is a 3-phase process. And as Lance shared, Jeff is a senior planner at COG and also the lead on this project. So Jeff.
Thanks, Chris. Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of the council, it's a pleasure to meet you all and get before you and hopefully share some of the information and ideas that we have for this thing. It's comes from the Kresge Foundation, which was formed in 1924 by Mr. Sebastian Kresge. He's of Kmart fame, and he made his fortune in the dime store, nickel store. And in 23, he set up this endowment for the furtherment of the human endeavor. They've given away millions and millions of dollars over the last 100 years. Most of it to urban areas, but all in an effort to improve the human condition. We applied, well, before my time, it was applied for in 2019, and they got the grant. We've had to make some changes a little bit in the light of COVID, but we are adapting and moving as nimbly as we can to the new conditions. So what you're seeing tonight is kind of a reflection of those new conditions. Can I have the next slide, please? Who's got the button? I don't think I do.
Hey, Heidi does.
Okay. There it is. So over the last couple of decades, demographers, geographers, public health people, specialists and sociologists have really started to dig a little deeper on this notion of how where we live affects our health. And there's kind of 3 legs to that stool. The first being the actual physical housing stock. What is the quality and the condition of the structures that we're living in? You know, its location, its age, any issues with water or paint or leaky roofs and what have you, anything that's going to have, you know, a really direct effect based on the condition and location of the house. The second leg of that stool is kind of the proximity notion that, you know, how far do we have to go to get health care? How far do we have to go to get fresh meat and produce and fresh food, to get to the nearest park, to get to school? Some of these elements that are in the proximity, not necessarily the condition of the house, but where the house is in relation to all of the other elements that contribute to our good health. And the third element is kind of, they call it the psychosocial element of it. And it's kind of a new branch of all this, but they're starting to realize what an impact psychologically our stress and our worry and our concerns and our fear has on our physical health. If we have underlying conditions and we worry a lot because of where we are, or we're going to get to work on time, or whatever the case may be, it really tends to multiply the negative impacts of any other negative elements as far as health go in our lives. And so we're kind of trying to blend these 3 factors so that we can generate a clearer picture of what's going on now and in the future, what we can do to improve it. Can I get the next slide? So the first thing we're doing, and we're looking at the existing housing stock in the area and trying to get a handle on its age, its condition, a variety of aspects of, you know, kind of get a sense of neighborhoods and the quality and quantity of housing that's available. we're going to be using, for the most part, the county's assessor data. They have a very complete GIS data set that gives us a plethora of information about the size, placement, age, condition of all the houses within the city limits. So we're going to start with that. And then we're going to start looking at proximities. We're going to start analyzing where are the medical facilities, where are the grocery stores, where are all of these various other contributing, these proximity factors that we talked about. Where are those, and how much distance are we going to have to go to get these things to keep ourselves healthy? The third element of this is that I think it's in your packet, we've developed a survey. With the housing stock data that we have, we know what things are, but with this survey, we're going to be able to get inside people's heads and get a sense of where they perceive the problems to be, what's important to them, what's not as important, how does the perception contribute to the reality, and we can blend those together so that we can kind of generate something of an algorithm to see what we have, what's important to the people, and then generate an analysis of where we stand based on those factors. And then we'll go back to the GIS for that analysis again. And what we can do is develop kind of an algorithm that will start giving us some values, and whether we use these values citywide, neighborhood-wide, or right down to the individual house, we'll be able to get a real quantitative analysis of the conditions and concerns and the nature of your existing housing situation. Next slide, please. Hopefully, once we have all that, we can work on the deliverables. What's going to come out of it? What are the things that you can look forward to, and what's the value in all of this? So as part of the grant, and these are the deliverables that we laid out for the Kresge Foundation. First and foremost is hopefully, and of course this has been kind of put on standby because of the COVID situation, but we're going to have a representative countywide organization that's dedicated to housing, analyzing and assessing housing, and coming up with ways and means and real hands-on stuff that we can do to make our housing situation better. We're going to have topic-specific GIS data, and this will be data specifically toward the housing issue and the housing information that we're going to be gathering. This is really important because once you have it, you have it. We can build on it, we can improve on it, but we'll have this baseline GIS data that we can use throughout the entire county eventually. We will have topic-specific repeatable GIS analysis, and this is a mouthful that says when we scorecard those houses or those neighborhoods, we can take the method we use to scorecard and we can transfer it to another community, to another region, or we can change the parameters by which we scored it and score it again. So we've kind of got this input-output thing, and we can change the variables, but it will always be there for us to put in an input and come out with an output based on the community needs, wants, and desires. We're also going to find out what data we don't have, and that's going to be really important as we look down into the future, so that as we're developing new data sets, doing more analysis, we'll know what we don't know, and what is important and what else we can plug into these equations so we can get a better picture of what's going on. Again, we'll have the community needs and preferences survey, and then we will start to develop prototypes, initiatives, and some potential code or comp plan amendments that you can use to actually put this into form and actually, make the improvements, make the changes that make our houses better, healthier, happier, and hopefully more productive. I hope that wraps it out without getting too terribly far into the weeds. I'm certainly here to answer questions. We've done some initial GIS work. We've got some analysis going, and it's looking very promising. So if you have any questions now or in the future, here's my contact information, and we're certainly here to address concerns and questions if there are any.
So thank you, Jeff. So at this point, we are just asking for your blessing to move forward in your community. We have a survey that we have in English and Spanish to allow the people in your community to tell us what their perception is and what their needs are. And like I said, this is the first part of 3 phases. And of course, our hope is to bring in the Home Consortium program and maybe some others to be able to help with some of the home issues that people may be having in your community.
So Chris, how is this survey going to be given? Is it going to be online only? Is it going to be on the phone? Is it going to be mailed to them? How is this survey going to be given to our residents?
Right. Thank you for that question. So before COVID, we were going to actually do interviews with people. And so we had to switch to the survey. So we are going to be doing a mailing where they can just scan it and answer questions either on their phone. They could do it on the computer. We're going to try to get some paper copies down there for people. And we're also going to offer some incentives for people to complete the survey, because we know how important it is to get a lot of their thoughts to us to be able to create this information. So our incentives are, we're going to have a drawing where one person would win some type of gift certificate to spend at a local business. So I've been in touch with Paul Newman, and you guys don't have that in your chamber, unfortunately. But what we would do with that person whose name was drawn, we would then ask them what business they would like that gift certificate to. So we're going to try the online. We're going to try, them using their smartphones. And then we're going to work with Lance and Heidi to figure out, how we can do some type of paper survey for those people who do not have internet, because we also know that is one of the concerns too.
Well, Chris, I was wondering if there's any way that maybe we could partner up with the school district, because I know that the children do have Wi-Fi now because they're doing everything online sort of thing. But I was wondering if there's some way that we could maybe partner up with them to do the survey, because I know they're going to be bringing back students to the building. So maybe that's another way in which we could send the survey home with the child, paper copy, of course.
Yeah.
There's a way that we can link your survey onto the student's device. I don't know, just thinking outside the box.
That's a great idea. I'll get in touch with your superintendent and see what we could do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great ideas.
And another suggestion that I was going to make is because we already mail out our utility bill, we can definitely send out some information on the little box underneath the explanation of our utility bill. So make sure we put it on there to remind people to do your survey.
Thank you. Yes. And like I said, yeah, I'll definitely work with Lance and Heidi. So great ideas. I really appreciate you guys getting behind this. Our goal is really to help you guys develop that community that everybody wants to move to.
Well, I want to thank you and appreciate the fact that you selected us. I mean, there's other cities here that also have the need, but always remember Toppenish at the top, number one. Just check Toppenish. There you go.
I know. You guys are my poster. So yeah, we love working with you guys. And there were only 8 grants given nationally. So we were really excited to get this.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
That's
And if
re-
there's any way we
yes.
can help, just let us know.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think one of the biggest issues that we have in our city is the lack of affordable housing. So I'm hoping that in the future we can, capitalize on this and be able to help the residents of our city find some come up with projects to help build some affordable housing for people because, if people are living in a place that's safe and they're comfortable, then they're more likely to have a healthier life. So
Mhm.
thank you very much for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. And we're hoping with the data that we collect, we are able to partner with the city and be able to apply for some of those special grants in those areas. So our goal, we're reaching for the stars. So that's our goal.
Well, thank you, Chris, because it's another vehicle where council wanted to have communication with our community to find out what their priorities are and be able to list those. And this just gives us another vehicle to get there. So we really appreciate the opportunity. So,
Thank you. And thank you for letting us present tonight.
you're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye. Have a great evening.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, after that, we'll move on to item 4 and the receive police department update. City Manager Hoyt.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council and everyone else that's on tonight. I'd like to give an update on the police chief recruitment as well as kind of a status of the police department. Tonight it's my pleasure to bring that update. Just to remind everyone, on September 1st this year, we hired Tim Bardwell as our interim police chief. He is a 30-year recently retired veteran from the city of Yakima Police Department. He was hired to temporarily manage the police department until a replacement chief could be recruited and hired. The reason we started this is in August, Chief Ruggles resigned to take a position on the west side as a deputy, and so that put us in a position where we wouldn't have a police chief. And so we contacted WASPIC, and we were able to get direction from WASPIC and also some, some communication with some retired police officers that might be interested in becoming interim police chief for the city of Toppenish. We contacted those people, and then we finally were able to contact Mr. Bardwell, and he was agreeable to come in and be an interim police chief for us for a 6-month stay. He's been here now, and he's taken ownership of our PD to the level that interim police chief can, and he's to that point where he's ready to assume. I believe he's ready to assume full-time police chief duties and lead our police and our dispatch departments to protect and serve and represent our community. To inform council, I'm in the process of offering Mr. Bardwell a conditional offer of employment for the position of police chief. He satisfies all those requirements outlined in our city's job description for police chief. He has, in his education, he has a BA in criminal justice. He's a graduate of a law enforcement academy, and he has got 30 years of experience in a supervisory, well, probably 20 in a supervisory position. Our experience level requirement is 15 years. He will bring these 30 years of being a police officer and a sergeant experience, as well as his integrity, his honesty, his effectiveness, his knowledge of police procedures, practice police methodologies to our city. His experience from a larger city, which has similar community demographics, will be invaluable to us. The learning curve will be flattened greatly by that. He's supervised staff of police officers of different ages, demographics, cultures, as well as young to old, to Gen Xers and millennials. So that's an important skill to be able to bring to our city. Upon acceptance by Mr. Bardwell of the offer of employment, Mr. Bardwell will have his background investigation started It's required by RCW 3521-334, as well as WASPIC recommended physical and psychological evaluations and a polygraph. We plan to schedule those in the month of February. We don't know what the schedule will be on that due to COVID complications with the testing protocols. Hopefully on the successful completion of that testing, we should be able to then go into discussions with contract with Mr. Bardwell in early March of this year. Some additional positive that he brings from the hiring world is he's a positive blend right now. There's kind of two thoughts or processes to hire. One is to hire within an internal promotion. That way you have a person that has knowledge of your organization. You know that he should be liked and respected but by his staff and the people that he works with. And the other opportunity is to hire outside, a seasoned hire, which is devoid of past policies, of any excess baggage that may be in the department. And he'll also bring his new experience and proven police resources and processes from a larger PD that would improve our department operation and management with that experience that he'll bring to us. Mr. Bardwell has had an opportunity to kind of serve a pre-employment period, which has allowed the city council and the police department and dispatch and management staff to experience his personality and his expertise and his management style. This trial period was also a bonus for Mr. Bardwell. He had the opportunity to try the city on to see if he would be interested in longer employment. In the previous 2 weeks, I've had the opportunity to visit with the police department and dispatch and management staff on a one-on-one basis on the status of our police department's morale, the staffing levels, equipment, and Mr. Bardwell's performance as an interim police chief, and all have been very, very positive. He received a vote of confidence from most of his police officers in a group. I couldn't get with all of them as a group for that, but they really appreciate his ability to lead and his communication and his style of being a police chief. So by promoting an interim police chief and hiring him as a police chief for the city of Toppenish, we would benefit by promoting and maintaining the positive morale gains in our police department that we've experienced over the last year. Continue that positive momentum to fill the vacant police and dispatch positions. And we would incur some basic things like we save 4 to 5 months of an additional hiring process and the cost of hiring to run that process that could be up to $10,000 or more. The city managers has the powers and the duties which is basically one of my most important responsibilities as the city manager, is to appoint, remove, and at any time, all department heads, officers, and employees of a code city. And so I believe after evaluating for the last three weeks or so, I believe it's in the best interest of the city of Toppenish to offer the position of police chief to Mr. Bardwell. The city of Toppenish Police Department is a young department. Mr. Bardwell will be a brand new police chief, and together they'll grow and mature a police and dispatch department that is efficient, effective. They'll be proactive. They're becoming cohesive already, and most of all, they'll be safe and they'll be able to protect and serve our community into the future. So that's a major step in fulfilling some of council's priorities that we decided last spring. If we all remember, we went through an exodus of police officers. I think we had 20 or so police officers leave in the last 15 years, which is a lot. Our experience level has gone down. Like I said, we're a young police officer. young police force. To date, we have 13 of our 14 budgeted positions filled. In our line officers, we have 11 of the 12 filled. So that's a positive. We have 5 of 6 dispatch officers, dispatch operators filled too. There'll actually be a test has been scheduled for Saturday the 6th, this Saturday at the police station to fill that, hopefully fill that vacant dispatch position. Mr. Bardwell brought also, while he's been on duty, has brought in the police services evaluation, which is a group that can come in and create a testing protocol for sergeant exam. Currently, we only have 1 sergeant, and so this would be a way to test from within the qualified applicants. I think we have 3, and hopefully we would create a roster and from those 3 and do a promotion of a internal officer to sergeant. The goal is to have an officer, a sergeant on each major shift. Right now, Sergeant Shaw is on. During my interviews with everyone, they were feeling bad for Sergeant Shaw because when she would be gone for her 2 days, she would come back with 50 to 60 reports she would have to review. And so she was very proactive to saying we should support the search for another sergeant. So back when we, if you remember, we had Martin Shaw of FCS group, and he was also assisted by Liz Dubois of the Athena group. The major reasons for the officers leaving were the pay wasn't competitive, no take-home vehicles, lack of specialty assignments and opportunities, no advancement opportunities here, lower call volumes in other areas, and comparable incentives like shift differential, instructor, FTO pay, bilingual pay, and the like. Last fall, we were able, I guess a year ago, last fall, we penned a new agreement with FOP, which raised the rate of pay to be competitive with area and comparable police departments around here. That seemed to help. We started in the last 2 years. We've purchased 5 new vehicles. So now we have reliable vehicles, which are actually mobile offices for our police officers on hand. So it's up to us to maintain that program and keep those vehicles up to date. The fact now that we have 13 of 14 budgeted officers hired on the roster lends itself to advancement opportunities like the internal sergeant exam that we're going to have, and then it'll speak to the lack of specialty assignments. If we have 2 to 4 people on duty in any given shift instead of a single officer, then the more can be done than just patrolling. They can do some emphasis stuff like parking, which is a low key one, but it's important to our community. Drug stings, traffic emphasis, and the like. And so those are important opportunities to be able to offer our officers. They're young officers. They want to get out there and be policemen, and this is an opportunity where they can spread their wings a little bit. I know that we made the big comparison of the cost and what we were doing with our police department versus contract with Yakima County Sheriff's Office. After Martin and Liz completed their study for us, council's decision was no one can police our community better than ourselves. And so we went forward with that attitude, try to hire, fill our budgeted positions so we have officers there to be able to do all those things, plus most importantly, enhance officer safety. It's so much easier or safer for an officer to be on duty with more than one person. it's just if 2 police show up to an incident, it's a lot easier on the police officers than it would be with 1, and it helps keep their safety up to par. We do have a high volume of calls in our community per officer, and so hopefully if we have 11 officers or 12 officers on duty instead of 7, that call volume will not go down, but at least it'll be spread out amongst the other officers, and they'll have a better opportunity to be more proactive and do their police work. We found out that the price tag for the police department is expensive, but contracting with YSO would be equally as expensive, with some visiting with and negotiation, or not even negotiation, just the discussion with YSO. They had never taken over a city before. They gave us a basic number to that the cost would be for them to come in and run our department, and it was basically almost more than what we were doing now. And with that, their officers wouldn't be in our community. They would be assigned here. We might get different ones. We might get the same ones. And so we were hoping that we would be able to increase that staffing level we have and attract some officers that would sign up for the city of Toppenish and stay for the long haul. So that's what I've got for a presentation tonight. Got a lot of more stuff, but I think I'm to that point where if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer those.
Well, I just had a concern that when you originally had told us that you were going to have an interim chief, I was really looking forward to the community being a part of the selection, and just wanted to share that.
And I appreciate that. When Chief Ruggles first resigned and I went to Waspic to ask for some assistance and some guidance, they outlined a program where they would go out and do recruitment, and then we would go through a 4.5-ish plus or minus month process, and they told me then it would depend what the hiring pool was at that time. We all thought kind of amongst ourselves that with the defunding of police departments and other issues over on the west side, we might see a movement of police officers across the mountain. That hasn't happened. We haven't seen those. We were able to get 17 or so, I think, officers on our entry level and 5 or 6 on our lateral entries. And so we were happy that happened to be more than we've been getting in the last 3 or 4 opportunities for a roster. This same issue is a nationwide issue. It's tougher to be a police officer now. Safety issues are up there. Respect for police officers isn't as it was. And so it's very important to find good qualified people to be here. One of the cautions that I got from the 2 people that I called to be our interim police chief, they cautioned me that typically if you get an interim police chief, you'll find out that he's a real good fit for your community, and you would have to make sure that he would be interested in applicating in the process. And so that is an option. But with COVID and the inability to have community meetings and the participation rate, I just think it's to the benefit of the city to go forward and offer Mr. Bardwell that conditional offer of employment. Once again, he has to go through the background check, although the testing protocols for the psych and the physical and the something else, psych, physical, there's another one. Anyway, they have to go through those. Yeah, they have to go through those processes, and if he's unable to be successful in those, then we would have to go out and start the whole process over.
Lance, I still think that like when we spoke, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I think you said that you were going to open up the position up in December, and I understand the whole COVID thing and how hard it is, and I completely understand that. But I still think that our community still deserves to go out there and look at options. And Mr. Bardwell, I think, would be well, more than welcome to apply as well. But we got to see, we got to shop around. I know it sounds bad, but we got to shop around and see if we can find candidates that are as qualified as he is, or maybe even more qualified than he is. Candidates that are involved, that are going to be involved in the community. I didn't hear you say anything about that, and that's one of my biggest concerns is the transparency between the police department and our community, the trust, because the people I've spoken to don't know who the chief is, and they don't trust the police, unfortunately. But I honestly think that if we open it up and see if we can get candidates to apply, and maybe we won't, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I strongly believe that this position should be opened up and give more people the opportunity to apply, because I've had police officers, management, not supervisors, come to me and ask me when the position is going to open, and I just keep telling them to hold off and wait for it to show up on the paper or on our website. So there is interest, and police officers that are in management.
You know, the only thing that I keep thinking is that as council members, our job is policy. And as the manager, his job is hiring and firing. And so I guess we could give him some of our ideas, but the bottom line when it comes to hiring and firing in that area, it is the city manager's responsibility. When it comes to hiring and firing a city manager, then that would be our responsibility. So
I completely understand that, but still I'm looking out for the community. It's somebody I'd like to see somebody in there that understands the community, that's gonna, I guess, like I mentioned, open up the communication between the community and the police department. And I'm not telling the city manager this is what you're going to do, because I know we can't. I'm just saying it would be a better idea to open it up for other candidates to apply.
So then I guess my question to Lance is, Lance, did you open it up already?
No, I have not. My plan is to do an internal promotion from interim police chief to police chief. And once he passes those tests and becomes the police chief, he would then order a uniform. So he would actually have a uniform that he could wear out in public. And then he would go on his communication introduction protocol, become part of our community more than he is now. Because as an interim, there's no real, he doesn't really have the, I guess, the power or the, as a police chief, he's only an interim. So once he is a modified police chief for the community, then it's up to him to go forward aggressively or actively and become a part of that community. And at that time, I'm sure that he would be giving his priorities for the police department, and through those the ability to visit with the different businesses and the people that may, because his door is always open, that we could able to see what's lacking in our community, if there is anything, and get the best police force we can for our community. Basically now our police officers are single shift, have been single shift. They haven't had the opportunity to do that, go to door to door and visit. With COVID, we haven't been able to do those community events where we can get out and visit, and hopefully that'll come to an end here sooner than later.
We haven't done that. Our police department hasn't done that for a long time. Yeah. And I know you mentioned morale's going down, or I'm sorry, morale's coming up from what it used to be. And my concern about that is that Ruggles was there for a long time, and one of the reasons why morale was going down was because of the way that place was being managed. Some of the officers still come and talk to me. Well, majority of the officers still come and talk to me, and voice their concerns. And I'll tell you right now, they haven't said anything bad about Tim. And they say he's doing good things, and they hope it continues that way. But it's the morale got as low as it did because of the management that was there before, and I'm concerned that it's going to happen again and again. Tim has a lot of experience. He's been in law enforcement a long time. My respects for him, but I just don't think I think we can find somebody with more experience if we open it up for other people to apply.
Lance, it's my understanding that the police force right now, the police department, are backing the interim chief. Morale is up, officers are coming in, and it's your job to hire and see what's best for the city. Are we going elsewhere? Is that trying to fix something that's not broke? We are getting everything we wanted over the last few months with this interim chief. And so you have decided, which it is your job, and I appreciate the job you're doing, to offer this man full employment with the blessing of the department he's over. So, I think dragging this out any further, if we found the right candidate, is we're trying to fix something that's not broke.
I'd agree. If the police department and the dispatchers are working well with our interim police chief, and they're excited about moving forward, and I got a fear of, okay, we bring somebody different in, they don't like him, and then we're right back where we started. We're down to nothing. I mean, I think we're moving forward by giving you the letting you do your job of bringing interim chief Tim in if he wants it. So I see it.
Well, that's one thing, like you were saying, bringing him in, and bringing him in is a fresh blood to the PD. He'd never done anything with the community with Toppenish and everything. So sometimes the infusion of someone fresh revitalizes a department, gets it back on its feet, gets everybody working forward, working together, and everything. So I don't know about you guys, but I think we were to spend the money to go out and look for another chief and everything advertised. I mean, I hate to say this, but our budget stuff around here, our sales and everything are down. So we got to tighten our belt up, and rather than risk letting someone who's, in my opinion, the little bit I've entered, got to meet with the guy and everything, it seemed like he's a pretty good guy. So it's, I don't know how about you guys feel, but let's go for it.
Well, it's been a tough decision. It's a very important decision for our community, as well as our police department and the police department morale. And morale was low. It got very, very low a few years ago. It's been improving. Every chief that will come in will have a management style of his own. Things were looking up. Mr. Ruggles went to another department, and we were lucky enough to hire Tim Bardwell as our interim. And since then, nothing against Kurt. He picked up the ball and brought it so far up the field in morale and staffing, and then Mr. Bardwell, I believe, was able to pick that up and go and is advancing it very well. I was really impressed with his professionalism. He is a cop, and he exudes that attitude. He has the respect of his officers and his dispatchers. He's decisive. If he doesn't, he checks on his officers to make sure things are okay before he goes home. They all said that they backed him. Individually, they backed him. When I first had a officer come give a vote of confidence, it was for 4 of the officers that were on his shift. And so I was impressed that they had, they thought enough of Tim to come and tell the city manager that he was a good guy and an excellent leader. And they want to work with him for the next 5 to 10 years is what they were telling me. And so with that being said, that's why I made that tough decision. I've been mulling it over, and I just don't see where we can go wrong by hiring Mr. Bardwell. If for some reason it doesn't work out, he has a probationary period. If that doesn't work out, we'll be in that position next fall after 6 months, and we will have to go out, and hopefully COVID would be gone, and we can test those waters then. But right now, I feel that we have an excellent opportunity in hand, and I would hate to lose that opportunity. So.
Great.
Thanks
Well,
for the info.
again, I think, sorry. Well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think he definitely has the experience, and as he'll have the support of the council. I'm sure if this is the way that Lance decides to go, again, I think because it is his decision when it comes to hiring the leadership for the city. I think it's something that we need to trust in his experience, but also, like Lance was saying, that if we don't know, maybe in a few months, he may think that it's not something that he wants to continue doing. Things happen. It may turn out to be the best thing, and he turns out to stay with us for the next 10 years. But I think there's always an opportunity to go back and review things if something happens, or we hear of any issues, that can't be resolved. But for now, I think if it helps the city save some finances in having to continue to seek another police chief, then I think it's probably a good thing to go with. Thank you.
And Lance, you've done a nice job of hiring people. I mean, you ended up getting Rocky, and Rocky's doing a fine job. I mean, I hear nothing but wonderful things about Rocky. So I trust you, and I trust your leadership. And I think that you've done a good job really thinking this through. And I know that it's been on your mind, it's been weighing heavily. And I myself, I know you know how to do your job when it comes to hiring people. And the interim police chief has shown that he's trustworthy and that he's here because he wants to do what's great for the department, but also what's great for our community. And I can just believe and have faith that when COVID is gone, he'll be out there in the public. And I'm hoping that he brings back our neighborhood policing. Hint, hint.
Very good.
Well, thank you, council. I appreciate your support and your opinions. My plan is to move forward and offer Mr. Bardwell his conditional offer. And so thank you for your support, and I'll keep you guys in the loop on how everything progresses. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to item 5, which is adjournment.
Oh, wait, I got one other item. If I can find it.
I don't see that on the agenda.
The AWC Legislative Action Days is next week, which is, where's my calendar? Is the 10th and the 11th. It's online, it's virtual. Today is the last day, is the deadline to register for that. Are any council members besides, I think, George and Nyla have signed up already? Heidi has signed you up. Is anybody else interested?
No, sorry. I was looking at the hours and it doesn't work out with me, unfortunately. I was hoping they were evenings.
Oh, it's during the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
That work always gets in the way, don't we? Need that money coming in. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you. That's all I have tonight.
So now I can
Thank
move
you,
on.
everyone. Have a good evening.
You hear it that time?
Yeah, I heard that.
Put a hole in this.
Did you adjourn, Mark?
Yeah,
Yes.
did you adjourn?
Oh, we didn't hear it, I guess.
We didn't
I
hear it,
guess not.
sorry.
Oh,
All
I heard
right.
that.
We'll hang up. Bye.
That's why I asked, didn't you hear it?
Well, hope you didn't break the desk.
Hole in there.